We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Newman City Council dated August 28, 2012. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don, do you mind?
Father, we thank you for this night, Lord. We just ask that you'll give us the wisdom as we conduct the city business. Just ask a special prayer that you'll be with the Evans family and just be with each and every one of us tonight. Just ask this all in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor King.
Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, I believe we're going to skip item 6 as well. And go to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council? Seeing none, we'll go to item 8, consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the August 14, 2012 regular meeting and the agenda and the August 23, 2012 special meeting. Council direction.
Move to accept the consent calendar as a given.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Which carries. Thank you. We'll go to item 9, public hearings. A is conduct public hearing regarding the Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund, also known as SLEP, and authorize expenditures for this funding, AB 1913. Chief.
Evening, Mayor, council members. Before you tonight would be a recommendation to accept the State of California Law Enforcement Service Fund and authorize expenditures for funding and hold a public hearing, which should be interesting public hearing. The city is scheduled to receive $100,000 in funding from the State of California as part of AB 1913. The funding is also referred to as Supplemental Law Enforcement Service Fund. We received this funding for the past 10 years that I'm aware of, and probably even longer than that. The requirements for this program mandate the funds be spent on frontline needs of municipal service, a public hearing be held, the funding supplement and not supplant items in the budget, and the final requirement is to have expended by June 30th of 2013, with any funds being returned to the state at that time. We did put this in the budget this year. Last year was a little bit of a scramble, if you guys remember correctly. But the state was going away last year. This year it was there, so we were able to budget for it. $90,000 of it will go towards our SR 911, which is our communications, and $10,000 of it going towards overtime. So there's no fiscal impact. The program does not require a match. And now I will answer any questions. I recommend that you open up public hearing.
Any idea how long this funding is going to continue?
If I knew that, I would probably make a lot more money. I have no idea what the state's going to do.
Any other questions or comments for the chief?
I have one question, Randy. The emergency dispatch. Have we always paid emergency dispatch out of this fund?
Last year we did not. But the years past, as far as I can remember, we have paid a portion of emergency dispatch out of this one.
Well, then I guess I would have to ask Michael and Lou.
Wondering about the supplement
Supplanting.
versus supplanting, yeah.
Yeah, because that is one of the things you run into if we didn't use it all along for this.
We've used it in the past. Last year we didn't, and so that's.
Does that create any issues?
Well, I mean, if the state makes a finding that it's supplanting, it could be an issue. Yeah.
Tom?
Let's continue. Let me think about that one if I could.
The only reason I know we've done it before, we had always done it, but then last year we had to switch out because we didn't know we were going to get it.
It's because we didn't budget for it.
And so it came out of general fund. So now this year it's going back, so we had switched funding sources.
But in the past, we have used these funds.
Correct.
Right.
Do you know how far back? I don't recall how far back.
The year before, as far as I know, going back
We've
that's what we've always used it on. And the thing last year was because we didn't budget for it, we would be supplanting the money we already put forward to that. This year, we actually this was part of that budget that we built in.
That was part of our discussion is because we budgeted into, we knew we were going to get this money, we budgeted in, we were making a case that it's not necessarily supplanting it. It's supplementing our original 110,000. No, our SR 111 costs are 200,000.
240,000.
How much?
240,000.
240.
I know that.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess my whole thing legally is I don't want somebody to come down and take it away from us.
Right. But you know those costs have gone up $60,000 in the last 2 years. You know, we were paying $180 a couple years ago. We're up to $240 now. So that is a
I
supplement.
remember
to
when it
our-
was 36,000.
Yeah, that's a supplement to what we were paying.
So that's what I'm wondering. Would it be good for us to reword it, our excess cost? Does that make sense? So we're not supplanting something that we're already paying for. We're supplementing something that we weren't paying for before, at least 60,000 of it. I don't know.
I think it fits. I didn't get that until I talked to Mike where you're going with that. I think that's appropriate.
Randy, when do you have to have this in by?
The public hearing was tonight, so we would have to start all over and go with,
Well, if we can continue the public hearing, bring it back at our next meeting, find additional uses for the funding and bring that back to the council and to the public, can continue this public hearing, then we can make that finding.
Well, I
Or
think he
if
says the department will stay within the parameters of the listed items above. So if he went 60,000 toward emergency dispatch, which is over and above what it was last year, correct?
correct. No, that is not correct.
Oh.
It's 60,000 over the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't use this for dispatch last year.
Yeah, it's about 40 over last year.
And like I say, I'm not worried about, I just don't want us to have to give anything back to the state that we haven't.
No, I hear you. And then one thing we could do is, you know, our level ones, paid level ones, you know, that is, we wouldn't be supplanting necessarily salary on that. That could be a potential use for the funding there.
Just rearrange the budget a little bit
Correct.
to
To match that up, yeah.
fit this where we don't even have to worry about it.
Or we could, you could adopt it as presented with the understanding we'll look at it, if there's a problem with it, and bring it back. Be another way to do that if you'd like.
If we did that, then we'd have to do the public hearing again. That's the only problem.
Right.
So
Which
So-
means we'd have to
Then you
notice
might
it
not have-
again for,
So can we just continue the public hearing?
You could.
yeah, I would recommend
That's the safest way.
I would recommend we just continue the public hearing until the next meeting, date certain, which is September 11th,
in the new,
in the new
Yeah.
meeting hall. And then we'll make it.
I'd rather be
close
safe.
the public hearing.
Yeah, I'd
We'll
rather
close
be
the public
safe than
hearing,
sorry.
and staff will work on an appropriate way to. We'll concur with maybe Cal Chiefs or somebody else that can give us a little bit of direction on that.
but normally I wouldn't even worry about it, but
Yeah.
the state is just, they're going after everything. I'm always,
If I may, I
a very good point.
I sit on this board, and our expenditures have always been fine through our board. So, I mean, it's never been an issue. We have expenditure reports that we have to do. This has always been an acceptable expense.
Sure. Do any of the other agencies use it for this expense?
Some of them use it for overtime. I'm not sure that anybody uses it for dispatch, but the same down the lines, you know, from vehicles to overtime and things like that.
Right.
So I've been on the board for the last year and a half, and this is what we've done, and we've done this, and we were the head of the board before that, and it's never been a problem.
Sure. Council, again, if you will indulge us and continue this to the 11th. We do have a vehicle in our budget, right? Or is that last
Purchased.
year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we put it in the
Right,
budget.
correct.
That's something that we can potentially use it on. So we have a couple different items there, and obviously security of the funds and minimizing the risk of the state coming back and trying to take funds. I think is what I'm hearing Councilman Hutchins say. We want to make sure that we minimize our risk of that. We can relook at this and bring it back to you on the 11th if so desirable.
Okay. With that, then we'll open the public hearing, and then we'll need a motion to continue the public hearing to the September 11th meeting. Public hearing is now open. Council direction.
I move to continue the public hearing until September 11th.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So
Thank you.
the public hearing is continued. Thanks, Chief. Item 10, A is consider authorizing the city manager to initiate Proposition 218 proceedings for water utility services. Garner?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. As you stated, the item for you tonight is consider authorizing the city manager to initiate the Proposition 218 proceedings for the water services utilities. On July 24, 2012, City Council adopted the 2012 water rate study, and the study analyzed the needs of utility for the next 10 years. However, the recommendation was to adopt the rates for the next 5. As you're aware, the City of Newman is required by the State of California to follow the Proposition 218 guidelines when increasing utility rates. With City Council approval, the City will prepare the mailing of the listed affected properties and utility users, and utilizing data secured from the City and the County Assessor's rolls, prepare a notice for printing and mailing. Under the analysis section, you'll notice that we did put a tentative schedule together with the notice and the database being completed no later than September 20th, with all notices printed and mailed approximately September 28th. 45 days then following would be the public hearing for City Council then to take action. Therefore, staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to initiate the Proposition 218 proceedings for the water utility services. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Garner? Council direction.
I so move to recommend that the city council authorize the city manager to initiate Proposition 218 proceedings for water utility services.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, consider resolution number 2012, next to number, approving a real property purchase and sale agreement and joint escrow instructions for the sale of property located at 2161 L Street in Newman.
Thank you,
Michael.
Chairman and members. Today we're sitting at the redevelopment successor agency. One of the tasks that the agency has is dispose of assets and properties for the former redevelopment agency, as directed by the oversight board. We've taken these preliminary terms to the oversight board, and they didn't have any issues. So now we need the successor agency to adopt a resolution. Back before the state passed AB 1X26, which was the dissolution of the redevelopment agencies, the redevelopment agency was in conversations with Westside Pallet and Miss Caroline Beach to sell the 3 1/3 acres at the end of L Street at our business park, just south of Garden Tractor, to sell that property to Westside Pallet so they could expand their operation. Unfortunately, Governor Brown beat us to it, and we had to call off all of our negotiations at that point, and everything's been on hold until then. Just as of recently, with some new legislation that's gone through, some cleanup legislation, we've now been given direction on how we can proceed forward with the disposal of those assets. In this particular case, I met with Miss Caroline Beach. She asked what she could do to get this process moving a little bit quicker, because her goal is to try to, secure the property and start making improvements so their busy season next year they could potentially expand out there. I said one thing that you can do is you can go out and get the appraisal done. That cut off some time on our side, and what we can do is reduce that out of the price. So attached as part of your report today is a copy of an appraisal. For the 3 1/3 acres, the market value is $290,000. So that's where we started the negotiations. I indicated to her I would have to sell it for that amount. It's the fair market value. AB 1X26 would require that, as well as it would be considered a gift of public funds if we didn't. So we start with a purchase price of $290. With an appraisal fee of $1,800, we take that out of the purchase price. We're down to $288,200. We're proceeding as if the successor agency would carry the note. The property's paid for, so there's no problem. We're not expending any funds here, but you're actually going to be making a little bit of funds. So we discussed that a 10% down payment would be proper in this particular case. It is a local business owner with ties to the community and has been operating in Westside Pallet for a number of years in a successful manner. If we do that, that leaves a loan amount of $259,380. Based on where we are at with the interest rates that we're getting on our money, it's a little bit less than prime on commercial right now. A 3.5% interest rate for a 3-year loan is very reasonable. That would make monthly payments at just under $4,000, $399.922, so $4,000 a month. After 3 years worth of payments, Ms. Beach has indicated she would then make a balloon payment of $140,481.96. So the city and the agency would essentially get the $290 minus 180, that's $288,200. But then you would also make $21,000 in interest in 3 years. As you know, LAIF right now is paying 0.2%. So 3.5% is considerably better than 0.2%. Make significant amount of money on there. We're working through the details with the contract right now. It's mostly just boilerplate language. These are the terms that we've all agreed to. We've gone back and forth with her attorney. So there's really just one issue that they only have right now, and that's a clause in one of the exhibits that talks about property maintenance. If they don't maintain the property accordingly, we can go in and maintain it and lien the property. They get a little nervous on that, and they're asking that that be removed based upon their current site and how they maintain their current site in a good working condition. There's really no weeds around. They understand with their business, they have to minimize the attraction of anything that would be a fire hazard, so they maintain the property in accordance to the fire standards necessary. I don't know that clause is a requirement, especially if they get on there, but I'll take your direction on that. So moving on with CEQA, because there's no, this is just a sale of a property. There's no necessarily, CEQA is not required on our part at this point in time. We do have a resolution for you to consider at this point in time. If the successor agency approves this and authorizes us to move forward with the sale of the property, we'll finalize the contract under these terms that you're setting tonight. It will go to the Oversight Board on September 13th for final approval from them. We ship it off to the state, and they have a number of days to review it, and then we would close. Based upon this timetable, we're probably looking, I think, at worst case, I think it's about early to mid-November for a closing of the loan. Her first payment would be due the first week of January, and then she would make monthly payments thereafter. That's all that I had right now, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions or comments of Michael? If not, council direction.
I'd make a motion, resolution number 2012, next number, a resolution of the successor agency to the former Newman redevelopment agency, approving a real property purchase and sale agreement and joint escrow instruction for the sale of property located at 2161 L Street, Newman, California.
Motion, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, item from Supervisor DeMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Caton, council members. I do have some news for you tonight. Today, Stanislaus County did end its relationship with the West Park Development Group for the development.
Party.
I think it took till almost 2 o'clock to get to that point. We had an unusually long meeting, but it was 3-2 vote with Supervisor Monteith still sticking by West Park. But the gist of it is that we're starting completely over again. The slate's clean. We're looking at some of the criteria that was put forward in the first RFP, request for proposal. and pretty much going to stick to that. Staff has got about a month or so to write up a request for proposal, and then it would go out to whoever might be interested. I had some concern that last week that it might be tilted so that nobody would be able to qualify except for Mr. Camillo, so I do not feel that today. I thought the meeting went pretty well. The development would be on the footprint of the air base. Rail's not required, although they could submit something for rail, but it's not RFP required, and then there would be some water supply for the town of Crow's Landing. And development of the airport, which was the priority. It's what we had to do to get the land from the federal government. So, everything is a slow process when you get in RFPs and out, but at least we're starting fresh. So it's been a long time coming, but it finally happened today. So anyway, that's good news. There'll be more coming later, but that's the basics of it. And the only other thing I have is our Biggest Loser weight loss contest was on our health summit. It was right here in Newman. And I thank the city of Newman for putting that together for us, bringing the tables in and doing a lot of the arranging. I thought that the summit went very well. We had a really great speaker. We had 7 teams of 10 weigh in. And we will be back to do the weigh out on October 18th right here in Newman again.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, item 12, items from city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. As Jim reported, it was a long day in Modesto today, and the West Park one was pretty long, but man, they had this Del Rio one, 18 lots, and you would think it was changing the whole world, because that went from like 9:30 to about 12:30.
Yeah, that was long.
Like 3 hours for 18 lots, like on 4 acres. It was incredible. So I knew when there was a lady in the audience, and she had the slip that you sign and turn in to speak. When she had a stack of them and was handing them out to members in the audience, I knew that we were going to be in for a while. So I'm glad to see that they're going back to the original RFP proposal. So we'll try to make contact with county staff and make sure that we get to take a look at that. I know Jim remembers, and I'm sure the mayor does too, and Bob as well. There was a lot of time and effort by community members and West Siders, on a subcommittee putting together that RFP and a whole idea and vision for what that airbase could be used. So, it's good to see that they're not just throwing that out the window, and they're trying to go back to the original RFP as much as possible. So. Just a reminder, the Fall Festival is this weekend. The big question around town is what car Jim's going to bring to the car show. I'm going to bring the truck. September 8th, I know Bob will get like this. September 8th, youth soccer begins. That's the following Saturday. It's always the Saturday after Fall Festival. We'll have the youth soccer at Sherman Park, and that'll be in that one. The chamber project is progressing nicely. Did a lot. The Dias people came in, did a lot today. It's really taking shape. The audio video people were in there and starting to hang the speakers. A lot of speakers in there, so you're not really amping it up. And it's very nice. You're gonna be very happy with the product. I know our planner, Ms. Ocasio, unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. She's done an excellent job finding pictures. The map, we talked to the map people today, and they're getting it cleaned up and drying, and then it's all moving forward. Now, the map probably won't be ready for the first council meeting, but the goal is to have the map at least mounted for the chamber mixer. So it's just that extra week. It's just something they need to help dry it. It takes a while to dry after they do a lot of the cleaning. So at this point, you're planning on meeting at the new council chambers for your next meeting. So this could be your last meeting here, and that's our goal. I don't have any reason to.
Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, it's only Mike's piece.
Mike.
No.
We're gonna be all right.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be there, so it'll be exciting. It's big. You can have plenty of room.
Yeah, not elbows.
Yeah, we're probably gonna need
Can't whisper.
carrier pigeons to go from.
The problem's going to be is it's a nice, big, beautiful room. We'll probably have 50, 60 chairs out there. We'll have a table for the media, and only Jim will be in the audience. 'Cause these three guys over here are going to be sitting over there. So, it'll be fun though. It'll be nice. We did get an email from the county elections office. It is confirmed about the appointments that took place last week. And it's official now. We got the official confirmation from that, so that's all said and done. There will be no election. And the publication, we had to publish it in the Modesto Bee because of the time constraints and a few other things. The costs are coming in very reasonable. I mean, we're probably 3, 4. I think we budgeted 5,000. Yeah, so we budgeted. We're gonna save $4,000 off this thing. So it's exciting. Every little bit helps. I know Councilmember Hutchins and Mayor Caton are going to be at the league conference on September 5th, the Wednesday.
Yeah, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
But our state senator Anthony Cannella will be in district and has offered to come out and meet with any council member that day. He's going to be here about 11. He can meet at 11, between 11 and 12. So if anybody wants to take him up on that, please let me know and I'll set that up. I'll probably take the opportunity to meet with him too. So because there's only a couple of us here, so maybe we can't do more than 2 at a time. But so either 11, 11:30. Let me know if you're going to be in town and are able to do that. Because of the agreement you just approved for the sale, there was when it went before the oversight board, Councilman Hutchins asked a good question about property taxes and sales taxes and all that went. So we went back and we dug up our old agreement. We have an agreement with Merced County for a share of the property tax and any sales tax that's generated from that. So we found the agreement. It's all executed. But we called them up and said, hey, we want to make sure that this is all in place. And he's like, I got some, but I don't have that one. So they're working on getting us updated. So there's probably going to be some property tax coming our way, which is funny because when Westside Pallet and the property, mostly Westside Pallet, I don't remember fully, was because some of their parcels traverse property lines and so do their buildings. We had conversations with both of the assessors right now about how do we get those property taxes and those things, and they talked about how they work it out amongst the 2 assessors, and then the property tax comes to us. So I think this is a new lady, but she's going to check up and making sure that we're getting all the appropriate taxes that we're due based upon that agreement. So, and that is all that I had at this time. I can answer any questions you may have.
Questions or comments from Michael?
That's Michael. The city will have a booth at the Fall Festival.
The Kwoski Centennia group will all be having a table, an informational booth. Yeah. They'll be taking pre-orders on Centennial plates. I know that was a big issue in the last 2, so we'll be doing a 3rd plate on there. Okay. And so yes, there will be a plate on there. And if anybody's still looking to volunteer for shifts, I know Ms. Ocasio would love to have you. So.
Thank you.
Staff, Chief.
Good evening again. Quick update, 1208 Merced is no longer there. It's a flat lot, looks a lot better than the
Looks
burnt
very
down
good.
building. It does. I thought they did a very good job. Fall Festival weekend, just a reminder to everybody, celebrate wisely. Designated drivers anywhere in Newman's only like a mile from the park. Walk home, find alternative routes home other than drinking and driving. And that's it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Comments? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Lou, anything? Garner?
Mayor, before Garner comes up, I know you all had talked a little bit about being in the parade.
I was going to ask him about
Okay,
that.
was that settled? And
I was going to get a head count, see who's all
Okay,
going to be
and
there.
get vehicles and
then
things,
talk to
okay.
Garner about the vehicles.
He said they're all gassed up. But they're
Or we're
battery
using
operated.
we don't gas them; they're electric.
I
We
know.
charge them.
That was on my list.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just gonna ask you if that was still on, and
Yep, we just
if-
need to get the vehicle from the police department and get them all cleaned up and
Okay, and-
electriced up. And
typically, we always, I think, usually we kind of meet at like Mariposa and R Street.
okay,
That's usually where they have us in that general vicinity. So,
Change this year, right?
excuse me.
The start of it is Mariposa and S this year.
Oh, really?
Front and back.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you'll be behind
So
there.
we'll be around there somewhere. So maybe around Mariposa and T Street. Maybe they might have us
I think they're
staged
going down S.
all the way down S Street. Look for the city vehicles. That's where we'll be meeting up, I guess.
yeah, the gyms, we'll have the bubble
Yeah.
vehicle.
And the idea is we all would drive them and drive them down through the parade route.
We have 3 2-seaters
ready to
and
go?
1 4-seater.
Sure.
We're having a race.
You all want to drive one?
No, I'd rather write than.
Okay.
We're having a
Absolutely.
race.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have those ready.
Thanks.
I remember right, the parade starts at 10?
11.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
if
means
we
it'll
could,
kick off
if you could let us
11:30.
know how many vehicles you want, we don't want
Well,
to
it
show
looks
up
like
with too many.
4.
Yeah, we'll have all 4
Councilmember
vehicles.
Davis
Okay.
wants to ride.
Okay,
rather
so
than
we'll
drive,
have
so-
we'll have 4 available.
And then we have city council banners that we'll put on one of the vehicles on
Okay.
both sides.
Cool.
One of the 2-seaters because they have a stake bed, so I think we'll fasten that on the side.
Great.
so.
That'd be great.
Okay, we'll have those ready for you.
Super. Okay.
All right. Check that one off.
Me too.
The traffic signal at Inyo and Highway 33, that's under design. We've already seen an initial geometric design on that, and there's some modifications based on staff input, but that project is moving forward. We're probably in the 15% phase. Around the 60% phase is when we'll get a nice layout on what we're looking at. Once we get through the geometrics through staff, then they're going to want to bounce that off of Caltrans. Once we get Caltrans's approval, I'll probably do a brief presentation on that so you can kind of see what the layout and geometrics they're looking at once we get it through Caltrans. At that point, we want to make sure that they're okay with at least the geometrics part of that. They were out there earlier this week doing some core samples and things of that nature. The AutoZone, the reason that has not been completed because there were some streetlights that have to go in, and we're working with them to get those relocated back far enough when we do the signal installation that they don't interfere with that. And also, they were waiting for some AT&T to underground some conduits, so there's been some question about why those improvements haven't been completed, and that was why. So they should be moving that one forward. And wastewater permit amendment, that's another big project we've been working on with staff, and we did a salinity anti-degradation analysis, and that is in front of the regional board staff at this time to give us their input. The response we had back from them today was that they're extremely busy, and they hope to get to it in the next week or two. They've had it for about a week right now, so we're staying on top of that one, pushing it forward. So, and the fall festival, which we already talked about, in the council chamber dais, moving along. They got the top of the dais on now, and tomorrow the carpeting's going in. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're completed tomorrow.
And we got the chairs, we got your chairs. Yeah.
Cool.
And the video guy is in there tonight wrapping his stuff up, and he'll be done by the weekend. And we'll have some touch-ups to do. Once we get everybody out of there, staff's gonna go in and clean and detail. We have the blinds to go in still. We have the flag and the sign to go up.
And carpet, with the carpet,
Carpet's going in first thing in the morning.
first thing tomorrow, okay.
Yeah. And so if you want to come by sometime and just take a quick brief look at it, you're welcome to come by after we get the carpeting in and kind of get a sense of it. It's really turning out impressive. It is huge. Probably will need some kind of a megaphone to talk across the dais from one side to the other. But
Yeah.
Plenty of speakers. Yeah, there's 16 or 17 speakers in the ceiling
yeah.
over it. So now,
Great.
again, we put a lot of speakers based on the audio video guide because you don't have that way you don't have to turn up the volume real loud and you get less feedback from the mics and stuff.
In addition to that, we have a handicap access that's been put in along one of the ramps. On one side, on the far side, will be handicap access and a podium put in and a table for, as it was stated by the city manager, a table for the newspaper to sit at. So it's going to be very nice.
Great.
We're very excited.
Great.
If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
No, I guess it's all set up for emergency center. That part will be done also. I mean, just in case if at some point we need to use it as a.
Yeah. The emergency center of how we plan for the EOC is we added extra data cables so that way if we needed to connect into a phone system, we have TVs up, and so yes,
Yeah.
they'll take some modification. When I say modification, just a reassembly of the room, but yeah, it's all the extra data. So I mean, we could have You know, you could have half a dozen computers up and going, 8 to 10 phones up there. I think we got, how many data cables? Like 14, 18? Yeah, there's plenty out there. It's gonna be more. We're more than capable of running EOC out of there. So, yeah, the backup in the budget is a backup generator, and so we still need to secure that piece. And what we'll do is put that on a trailer, so that way you can bring it in. Boom! If the power goes down, you're up and going that way right there. So,
You know, it just seems as a city or as a county, we haven't had any drills as far as, that I remember recently. So I don't know if there's plans in the works. I mean, if the city or the county, a joint venture where they
We
have
don't
emergency-
currently have any plans that I know of. We did do the drill, and we expanded it when we had the gas leak with the plaza.
Okay.
And the chief and I have been in talks right after that about maybe we need to do another one, but we haven't put anything in the works yet.
And there's a meeting of this countywide disaster council November
The county
1st,
listened-
I
Yeah,
believe,
Coming up on the 1st.
of the
Okay.
1st, to go over some of that and to kind of make plans for drills and stuff like that down the road. I just got the email on that, I think today, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Thanks, Garner. Lou, you didn't have anything, right? Okay. Councilmember India.
Nothing.
Martina?
Nothing
Nope.
today.
Don?
Nothing?
Roberta?
I don't have anything.
Okay, the only thing I would add is, as Councilmember Hutchins mentioned, Newman is a little bit worse off this week. We lost Kathy Evans on Saturday, who passed away after a brief illness for the last few months. And so she's going to be sorely missed in this community. Her and Joe were definitely figureheads in just in terms of volunteering and community service. You couldn't have found two harder working people, and it's a huge loss, and we're gonna miss them. So just keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. And with that, we're adjourned.